Voices of the Village is brought to you by the Greg Olson Local History Room, a treasure chest of Ridgefield Park history.
What is your name, occupation, or prior occupation?
My name's Walter James Dorgan Jr. I was an attorney until 2 months ago, so that was my prior occupation.
How long did you reside in Ridgefield Park?
1 month short of 28 years.
What was your reason for leaving?
I was married. My wife's family lived in Ridgewood. Of course, I lived in Ridgefield Park, so we picked a house somewhere between the two families. And that's exactly how it happened. So we left when we got married and we bought a house. We moved into the house.
How often do you return to the village?
Well, I was the Board of Adjustment attorney for years in the village. So I was there every month for a long time until I got too busy, and I stopped that. I used to come down here every Christmas Eve for a party at my sister's house. I guess that's basically it. I mean, I would come visit her from time to time, but I guess the primary thing was that once a month downtown at the municipal building.
Did you attend any of the local schools?
I certainly did. I went to Roosevelt School K through 4, and then St. Francis 5 through 8. So I split between the public and the parochial.
What is your fondest memory of the schools?
I will say this, in Roosevelt School we had a swimming pool in those days, and I learned how to swim. Mrs. Dara was the teacher. She was a Red Cross instructor during the war, so she was really qualified, and I learned how to swim. That might be my fondest memory of the schools.
Did you participate in any clubs or sporting activities such as Boy Scouts or Little League?
Yes, I did. I was a Cub Scout for the 3 years. I was a Boy Scout for a full year, but I was also involved in sports all the way through. When I was 9 years old, that was the first year there was a Little League in town. So I was pretty fortunate because, I didn't miss that opportunity. Anyone older than me would have missed that. So I was involved in that. Then they created a Babe Ruth team, league, and that was the first year of Babe Ruth, my father was actually the coach for those 3 years. So I participated in that. I also played for the American Legion team for a year. I played with the Connie Mack baseball team in Pagoda, but 4 of the starters myself included, were from Ridgefield Park. So it was kind of a combination of the two towns. Also played CYO basketball all the way through at St. Francis. I enjoyed that very much.
What was your favorite thing about growing up in Ridgefield Park?
It was how close-knit the whole community was. I think my experiences playing in Little League kind of brought that home. And I have some material on that, on how we were received in the town when we played other teams in the All-Star games at the end of the season. So that's my memory of it. There's a great town for a boy to grow up in because it was tight and very athletic, and which kept us busy. Kept us busy. I come from a family that was involved in sports, and this was the perfect town for that because I don't know how it is today, but I know at that time it was very, very critical and enjoyable.
How would you describe Ridgefield Park to another non-resident?
Well, kind of like what I just said. At least I'm describing how it was when I lived here. I don't know. I can't honestly say how it is now. But it's a close-knit community, and the proof was the 4th of July parade, which actually was my father's favorite day of the year. That's how we all embraced it. And like you say, I marched in all the parades. It was really, it said a lot for the town. I think we have the oldest 4th of July east of the Mississippi in this town. I've always said that. I'm sure it's true. I've always said it, yeah.
In your opinion, what makes the village unique?
It's along the same line. It's a close-knit community. It's got a history. When I was a boy, we always talked about the great teams from the past and the things because it's an old town. It's been here for a long time. So I think it has a history that a lot of the towns don't have. It's not the only one. Rutherford is the same way, but I mean that's what makes it unique, is that it's so historic.
Was there anyone from Ridgefield Park that has influenced you? If so, who?
Well, besides my family, my grandparents who lived around the corner, and my parents, some of my coaches. Artie Carroll was our coach in Little League, and he definitely left his mark on me. And Lou Fernandez, who lived around the corner on Highland Place, he coached CYO basketball, and so they left their mark, especially Artie Carroll.
If you had to tell one story that captures the essence of the village, what is it?
But when we played at the end of the season, we had an all-star team, and we play other towns. It was called the Little League World Series because if you kept winning, you went to Williamsport. And in my last year, we won 4 or 5 games. We used to have articles written in the Sun Bullet, and that was the name of the paper. It was like we were playing in college. The articles, which I have some of them, are just incredible. It was everybody talked about it. And after the games, when we won those games, we drive around town it was probably a DPW truck. Everybody was on it, and it's like after a wedding or something, everybody was going crazy. And when we finally lost, and we lost a 9-inning game, bases loaded, 2 outs, 3-2 pitch, and Bobby Huggard walked the batter. So that's how close the game was. We went around town as though we had won. And I have an article here where the editor asked Billy Barnes, he was one of the players, well, why were you going around celebrating? I thought you lost. And he said, well, we just wanted the town to know how happy we were, and the point being that we could accept defeat.
Ridgefield Park is well known for its 4th of July celebration. Have you ever participated in the activity?
Yes, I did, all the way through, in the Little League, in the Babe Ruth League, in the CYO, just as students. I mean, if there's anything else, I can't think of another reason, but it seemed like every year there was a reason to compete, to march in the 4th of July parade, a special day.
Are there any other local traditions in the village that you can recall?
Well, one thing I do remember is after the activities like around Thanksgiving or something, and I participated in this even though I didn't go to the high school. They go to the old high school and they have a nice dance, which I thought was really nice. It's not something I've seen since.
Did you march in the Ragamuffin Parade?
No, I don't believe I did.
Is there something you would like to share with us and our viewers?
Okay, this is I was a member of the Hall of Fame in my high school. We were 22-0. We went undefeated, and I made the Hall of Fame as a third baseman in 1958. And I give the town credit for that because we spent, in the summers, we were at Roosevelt School every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And couldn't help but be good. You couldn't play the hours I did and not be good, and the competition and everything. So that's one thing I'd like. I went to St. Peter's Prep in Jersey City. Yeah. I actually have a better picture of this, but this was the all-star team when I was a 12-year-old. Well, I have a better picture of that. But these were the decals for the Little League and the Babe Ruth League. Elks clinch Little League crown. That was a big deal. And they certainly treated us well. In fact, my father became an Elk before the season was out. And this is a picture. Oh, yeah. This is the story. In Connie Mack Ball, we played for the state championship. And we played down in Trenton, and we faced Al Downing, who became a Yankee pitcher later on. And in fact, he gave up the home run ball as a Dodger to Hank Aaron when he passed out. And they beat us 2-1 on a controversial play, which if the ump had ruled it the other way, which I think he should have, but he didn't, we would have won that game 1-0. So that was a high point in my life. And as I say, 4 of the starters were from Ridgefield Park, and Joe Walhaven was one of our pitchers. He didn't pitch that game, but he was also, so half the team was from Ridgefield Park. So, let's see. I don't think you can recapture this, but when I was an 11-year-old, this is a picture of our team, Overpeck Dodge. This is what I meant by the articles that the Star Ledger, that the Sun Bulletin would print. Bill Sadler talking about the All-Star games. Here's one article that year, and then on the next page is the other. And the other one is what I said before. It's actually in quote, where they talked about the game and we're going around with the horn blowing and everything. He was asked and he said, well, you see, Barnes said, us fellows wanted to show the people of Ridgefield Park that we're just as good sports when we lose as when we win. So I thought that was kind of addressed. I have a picture of my father. Oh, here it is. This is a picture of our all-star team. I mean, this is a true, can really recapture that when we were 12 years old. You may not be able to spot me, but I'm in it. Here's a picture of our Babe Ruth team with my father, who's a member of your board, right here. Back in, they had figured it out. He was in his early 40s. I think he looked pretty good for his age. So that's a picture I treasure.
Do you have any other memories of Ridgefield Park that you would want to share with us?
Well, first of all, it's hard for people to realize how many lots there were in the town back then. We lived on Grand Avenue. If you go down to Teaneck Road on the north side, there's 4 houses there. Well, that was a lot. That was one big lot. The Quinns lived around the corner from us on Highland Place. In fact, that's another time I came down. We came down here for the 4th of July when Steve was the Grand Marshal. Because I know what a compliment it is to be the Grand Marshal in this town. So I thought I might see his brother Richie, because he was one of my best friends. But right behind their house, that was all woods. We called that the jungle. On the corner where the Morans lived, that was the woods. Across the street where the Petos, everything was woods. Cutter Street was not paved. It was cinder block. Because I remember when they finally put it down, we would go roller skating, because you didn't have the kind of traffic you'd have today. We went roller skating. I remember playing with my father on the islands on Grand Avenue, throwing a football around on the islands. And here's another story. This might interest you. 1947, the snow was like this, and big piles by the islands. I was only 6 years old then. So 2 or 3 years later, I'd be saying to my mother, hey, where are the piles? Where's the snow? What's going on? And we didn't have another storm like that till 1960. And by then I was in college, because I was working at Sears Roebuck 3 nights a week and Saturday, and at the gas aisle, and they would say, well, if you can get there, we'll pay you. And the way I always got home was up Mount Vernon Street. That was always plowed, even if nothing else was. And as we said before, on Grand Avenue, when you go down the hill there, you had the pond, and that's where we would ice skate. And I can remember falling in once. The ice, broke. And there was, just before that on the left was the stable for Ross's horse, Ross Vogt, because the Mayor Vogt was the mayor till 1960. And he had that for his son, Ross. So that's a recollection. And then there was it Pinkerton? They lived in that area. You go down the hill. We used to go ice skating. We go sleigh riding when it snowed. We go down that hill. That was a nice memory too. Yeah. Because I moved to a town where there were no hills except at Fort Stansel Park. But we had a good time with that.
In just one word, what does Ridgefield Park mean to you?
Yeah, I saw that question. It's pretty hard to answer that in one word. I don't know that I can. I think everything I've said kind of talks about how I felt about the town. It was a close-knit town, small town. You don't realize the benefits of a small town until you move out of it and you live somewhere else. You know you can tell right away there's a difference. In fact, wherever we go, we always run into people from Ridgefield Park, who grew up in the town too, and it creates a bond. So that's it. It was a close-knit, a good place to raise children. That's for sure. That's kind of the way I feel about it.
Thank you, Walter Dorgan Jr., for participating in the Voices of the Village.